people coming up here and they'd leave a review like, there was a weird noise outside, and Airbnb would be like, you're on probation unless you investigate the noise.
After 6 months, I'm shutting down my Airbnb.
Airbnb is sucking, and many people are tired of Airbnbs, and especially some of the hosts. This person says that after hosting for 2 months on Airbnb, they're basically delisting and deleting the Airbnb account. Says hosting has been a great experience until I had a problem with guests, and quickly realized that Airbnb support is useless and will never be on your side. And you're also putting yourself in a lot of risk to all sorts of potential property damage, which will not be covered by the Airbnb insurance.
I quickly realized Airbnb support is completely useless. They're definitely hard to deal with. I mean, you're talking with people overseas for sure, and the key is follow-up. You got to keep following up with them. And at the end of the day, if damage was caused by the guest and you were able to document that, they'll reimburse you for it. They're very good about that. We've gotten back over $40,000 in one situation from Airbnb before, and it's just it's follow-up. That's the number one thing, and the number two thing, they're both number one, documentation, right? You got to have before and after photos, preferably videos of the thing that was damaged, right? You got to have before they showed up, here it is, not damaged, and they departed, and here it is, now it's damaged. They'll cover it every time. And
guest was removed, and guests also said a bunch of really crazy stuff in the review, and basically warned that, hey, this Airbnb was fine. But honestly, though, a lot of hosts are experiencing Airbnb damage. They can't really do anything. Many people also complain of Airbnb, and usually Airbnbs, they side with the...
Right, so these are all people that just shouldn't be doing this, right? If you don't have the time and attention to pay to your property or properties to deal with these things, because at the end of the day, you just got to deal with it. You got to figure out how to work Airbnb's system to get what you need out of it, especially when we're talking about legitimate damages, legitimate bad guests, leaving legitimately retaliatory reviews. You got to, they have safeguards in place so people don't just get true reviews removed or they don't take advantage of their claims policy, right? They have all of that. They got checks and balances there, and sometimes they work against you even when you have a legitimate claim or you have a legitimate problem guest, and you just got to be able to understand and work their system.
Customer and the host basically screwed. So that's one part of the story which makes Airbnb suck, and another part of the story are going to be the people who are renting Airbnbs, like this person, $1,000 plus an extra $600 for extra guests, which should not be an extra $600, by the way. Also, cleaning fees don't really make much sense when...
All right, so this dude paid the fee to stay there. That's disclosed up front. It's not like you show up and you're like, you got to give us more money unless you show up with a group that you didn't disclose you're showing up with, right? You say you're going to stay at the house with 3 friends and you show up with 10, right? Like you didn't disclose the true number of people that are going to use the house. And yeah, you could get hit with extra fees in that instance. But I mean, whose fault is that really?
I'm the one doing all the cleaning sometimes. I leave the towels in the washer, which I've done before, put the stuff.
It just resonates with me. I get it. Yeah, a hotel's not going to make you do that. You're on vacation. You don't want to do chores. We're actually in the process of removing all chores. It was really common. Everyone was doing it because you could, and it was helpful to reduce costs because cleaners would charge you less. But as Airbnb has transitioned and the expectations of people have transitioned to more of a guest-centric focus, we're seeing more and more complaints, less and less people want to do it, and we're here to make money. We got to please guests to do it. So we're actually actively in the process of removing any and all chores and talking with our cleaners to just deal with it. You got to clean the house, right? Sometimes they leave it dirtier than others. One thing too is we'll have a lot of cleaners that want to charge us, not as much anymore, but we used to, have a lot of cleaners that would charge these extra fees when they do extra work. And we would always hit them with well, when you do less work than normal, do we get a discount? And of course the answer is no, it's the same price. I'm like, good, it's got to be the same price always then. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder. What is your price? Taking all of that into account, knowing that sometimes it'll be easier to clean it, sometimes it'll be harder. One price. Got to be one price.
In the sink, in the dishwasher. I mean, what in the world is a cleaning fee even for? Also, Airbnbs, I feel like just aren't really sanitary. They're not exactly clean. I think people go in there, they just clean for 20 minutes and leave. And it's still kind of dirty. And if you look into Airbnbs, many hosts are also complaining about the cash flow problem. So in 9 years, base rate increased 50 or about 5.5% per year. Cleaning fee has remained flat, but is a bit of a loss leader. This person also says that there's a lot of Airbnbs which are kind of getting more and more expensive to also maintain. And there's also the quality of the guests. That's another big one. And also big impacts on the amount of people coming to Airbnbs. There's just too much competition as well. And right now, Airbnbs are just not as profitable as before. And you kind of see why. The economy is not doing so good. Many people aren't exactly going on vacation when layoffs are record high. And also, people are also now considering that hotels are truly better than Airbnbs. This is why hotels are not afraid of Airbnbs. Airbnbs, frankly, are kind of dirty. I'm not gonna lie. I've been to several Airbnbs, some of the beaches, some big cities, some in mountain retreats, and I gotta say, I kind of prefer the hotel. Airbnbs have some very interesting stays, but at the end of the day, if I'm on a business trip, I'll never stay at Airbnb.
Yeah, agreed.
I'll stay at a hotel. I mean, these procedures.
We cater to large groups. That's where the money's at, right? Like small units, you have to have a bunch of them in the same building for it to make sense as an Airbnb as far as like the revenue and cost basis is concerned. Otherwise, if it's a single family home, it's got to be a big one that can hold a lot of people, because that's the only way you can compete against hotels with those types of groups, right? They'd rather all stay together in a nice house with a private kitchen and backyard, and they can bring their pets. You can't do that type of thing in hotels. And it's usually more economical, so it's better and costs less per person than a large group getting several rooms at a hotel, doesn't have a private kitchen, doesn't have a backyard, right? So you gotta know where the money's at. You gotta know where the market is.
Procedures are absolutely insane. Collect all the towels, load the dirty dishwashers, barbecue grill must be clean, take out the trash.
Yeah, too much stuff.
Please set trash or recycle containers out on Sundays. You're basically the maid.
This is an opportunity to compete. There's so many people doing this. You could set yourself apart by just saying, "Hey,
Airbnbs kind of suck. The hosts hate it, okay, because it's getting more expensive to host. Property tax, house insurance is super high, and also the people who are renting Airbnbs also absolutely hate it. So there's no middle ground. Everyone seems to be hating Airbnbs right now. Check out some of these videos.
So here's some lessons that I recently learned from Airbnb.
Sure.
Take video. Take video, take video, take video. What I mean by that is if your stay is not up to par, like we walked in and our entire cabin wasn't cleaned at all. Like the sheets were dirty and gross, and there was not a clean towel in sight, and there was filth everywhere. Anywho, we took photos of this. And then my crazy ass was like, you know what?
So as a host, we also take videos. We have our cleaners take walkthrough videos every time they're done cleaning the home to prove it's clean. Because, we deal with the opposite situation where the guest walks into a perfectly clean home and they want to, try to get a refund. So they make it dirty and then take a video of it. And if you don't have some type of proof that you actually cleaned it, Airbnb will side with the guest every time. Also, it's a great way to, just know for sure that you're not going to have a guest walk into a dirty house, because that sucks. And it helps hold your cleaners accountable, right? When you get back to them with their video that they sent in, you can kind of hold them accountable and be like, yeah, I did that thing that you took video of. It actually wasn't that clean. Also, it helps find damage.
I'm going to take video just in case. I've been fighting with Airbnb for 2 weeks because the photos didn't show enough filth. Today I sent over the video. I got $650 back within a few minutes. So take the video, be the crazy bitch.
Videos are king.
So my first beef is that it's actually not that much cheaper than a hotel in my experience. When I've gone on trips where my friends have booked Airbnbs, I've looked into hotels close by and like what splitting a room 4 ways would be. And it has always been cheaper to get the hotel room. My second beef is my safety. Like some of them don't change out their PIN pad codes and previous guests can break in. Like, no, thank you. I don't want any of that. And piggybacking off of that, my third point, let's say all things equal, the same thing happened to me at a hotel where like someone broke into my room, and the same thing happened to me at Airbnb where someone broke into the Airbnb. Airbnb is always going to side with the owner. And if something like that happens to me at a Marriott, best believe I'm getting Marriott money. At Airbnb, you're screwed. They have so many clauses and loopholes written into what you sign when you rent an Airbnb that you are shit out of luck if something happened. Next is all the rules. They are out here wilding with all the rules. I do not want to deal with it. I don't want to get charged $100 because I forgot to turn the dishwasher on. Okay? I don't want to deal with any of that. So yeah, overall, I don't like the experience, but what really sent me over the edge, if you're curious, you can read the article. Airbnb is spending millions of dollars to make nightmares go away. That's what really put me over the edge into being a full-time hotel girly. It's crazy. If your vibe is to rent an entire property, like you want a whole home or a villa when you're traveling, that's just your travel vibe, you can still do that without using Airbnb. There's lots of, like, if you just look up the city that you're going to, you can find local home and villa rentals, or Marriott actually does home and villa. Those are like way more vetted than the Airbnb hosts. So that's what I would recommend, and that's why I have beef with Airbnb.
Last night we drove up to our cabin and we're packing it up right now. Lots of boxes. It's been an Airbnb for the past 2 years and it's done great, but Airbnb kind of sucks. So Airbnb kind of sucks because this cutie A-frame cabin in the woods would get city people coming up here and they'd leave a review like there was a weird noise outside, and Airbnb would be like, you're on probation unless you investigate the noise, and it was a branch brushing up against a window. Stuff like that happened all the time, and Airbnb never had our backs, even once. We were still super profitable with this cabin, but we're moving to Italy, and so Airbnb...
Okay, I'm pretty sure we serviced 200 reservations like this month, and what she's describing, I can't say I've ever experienced, at least the Airbnb part. Like, guests say stupid things. It happens, of course. You know, when you have hundreds of reservations, there's some frequency of really stupid stuff that guests will tell you, and they'll tell Airbnb. But every time we've had something that's genuinely as stupid as you're describing, Airbnb has never put us on probation for it. Have we gone on probation for like the air conditioner not working? You betcha. Yeah. I don't know if it's exactly the air conditioner, but like something in the house legitimately not working, and it cause a serious issue, like bathroom doesn't work, or the water's not running, or the AC is out. Like stuff like that will get you on probation, but stupid stuff, I've never had that problem.
He's super labor intensive, and we got long-term tenants in here, and they just signed a 2-year lease, and it's actually more money at the end of the day than
That's
Airbnb.
The real problem.
Probably not the only Airbnb owner that is currently transitioning to having long-term tenants, and I can't say that it's 100% because Airbnb sucks, but I will say it's like 80% because Airbnb sucks. This cabin is in an amazing location right outside of Sedona and gets tourism year-round. It was never because of bookings. It was literally because of support. Anyway, so here I am on a Sunday morning loading a U-Haul full of all my super fun furniture and heading back down to Phoenix with it.
See you later.
After 6 months, I'm shutting down my Airbnb. And let me tell you why. Now, first off, I have to put a disclaimer. When we bought the property, we never intended to Airbnb the property. However, it was such a good deal, such a good steal, and the house was already an Airbnb that we decided to keep it as an Airbnb.
Red flag too.
Now, let's get into why 6 months later, it's a hard no, hard pass for us. The first thing, people are dirty, okay? I never realized how dirty people are. And I hate to say it, it's been it's been a majority of our women guests. The men, spotless. Like your occasional toothpaste was wasted in the sink. The women, dirty. Who raised you? I cannot. So that's issue number one. The people are dirty. The second thing is there's a whole bunch of people who preach passive income. Y'all remember that big movement and they were saying that Airbnb was a way. Absolutely not. There's nothing passive about owning an Airbnb. In fact, today after I work my big girl job from home, I got to go to the Airbnb, meet my boo over there, and we're going to clean up. because we fired our cleaner. That's another story. Can't really afford another cleaner right now. Like, nothing passive about it. It's very much active. We're washing clothes every other day. Like,
you made a bad investment decision.
So the non-passive income piece just doesn't work for our lifestyle. Like, I work a very high demanding job. He's in school getting his MBA and works a demanding job. So it's a hard no for us.
You're trying to do this yourself.
So I saw this video of this girl talking about why Airbnb sucks. And I agree that Airbnb definitely sucks. But the main reason why it sucks, which I never hear anybody say, is because Airbnb has two customers. They have us, the guests that are staying in these properties, and they have the owners of these properties, because Airbnb does not own these places. I worked for a vacation rental property management company called V-Trips, who also used Airbnb and VRBO to market their properties, and the owners are dickheads. At the end of the day, because we didn't own these properties, the owners get a lot of say in it. So the reason why Airbnb won't cater to you or, you know, won't compensate you when you have issues is because they need to get their cut, and the owner has already seen that they have a booking and they expect what they what they see. So the more that Airbnb compensates you, the more they're upsetting the owners, because the owners are losing money and they don't want the owners to pull their properties. Again, the owners are dickheads. They used to do stuff like cancel reservations like the day before and say like, oh, my sister-in-law wants to stay in the property this weekend, so cancel that reservation. And what are we going to do? One time we had an owner sell the property, and we did not know until the customer or the guest went to the house and the new owner told them. And at the end of the day, it's a civil matter. We can't call the police and be like, hey, we have a contract with this owner, and so they need to let this person in. No, you're shit out of luck. So that's why I say just stay in a hotel, because at the end of the day, Airbnb's main priority, VRBO, their main priority, all these companies, their main priority is...
Look, it's real simple for guests, all right? You stay in the highly rated properties. That's where you stay. Don't touch anything below a 4.6, and even that's not that good. Like 4.8 and above, 30 plus reviews, those are legitimately good places to stay. You're not going to have any problem, right? So that is the number one factor that you can look at to avoid all of these problems that these people are, saying you're going to have. Don't do it. Stay in a hotel. Like, yeah, it's a young industry. There's still a lot of problems to be worked out, but that one metric, the rating, and having a lot of them, that makes it a vetted property. Stay at those. Simple.
Keeping the owner happy so they can keep those properties on their site, because they may piss you off and lose you as a client or as a customer, but if they lose that owner could have a property that's booked out for a year, and then they lose out on a year's worth of reservations. So again, like, they're just gonna do whatever the owner says. Lastly, I forgot to add, so not only have I worked for vacation home places, property management, but I work for Hilton hotels and Marriott hotels. So I feel like my opinion is kind of valid. Just stay at a hotel, because Airbnbs be nasty, and that's a whole nother video.
Airbnb wonders why they're going out of business, and I'm sitting here trying not to be annoyed. So I have booked a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom villa, and in the description it says the entire property to yourself, the amenities to yourself. So I just arrived at this villa, and it's like a duplex situation, like an upstairs downstairs situation with like a shared pool, which is like, I specifically specified that that's not what I wanted. On top of that, the 3rd bedroom is not a bedroom. It's literally like a Murphy cot bed with a little curtain around it. And I'm trying to get in contact with Airbnb, and they're just like, oh, we have somebody working your case. But I'm just like, hey, this isn't what I booked. I'm trying to go book different accommodation, but like their customer service is just so terrible. On top of that, the upstairs apartment unit thing in this villa that I thought I was gonna be by myself in, they've been blasting music. They're so heavy-footed, and it's just so loud, and I'm just like,
Yeah, you got you in one of them inner city Airbnb.